Welcome back to my channel. I'm Maggie Ostara, and I'm delighted that you're here. Today, we're going to focus on the human design transit that's starting on Thursday, June 13th. And we've got some really potent stuff going on here. So let's go ahead and dive in. You can see by looking at this main image here that we've actually got two channels that are lit up here on the left-hand side of the body. We've got the 4521, which we talked about in last week's transit report. I'm going to mention it briefly here, but notice it's still here so for a few more days. And then we also have the 1222, which is a super potent channel. So we'll talk about that more in a second. Let's start out by diving into the sun in the gate 12. The gate 12 is known as caution in traditional human design and the channel in quantum human design. Now, why caution? So coming off the throat here, this is the whole channel at the gate 12 is in the knowing circuit. So it's highly intuitive. It's individual circuitry. It's here to be different. It's here to bring change. It does not fit in. So what the energy that's coming off of that 12, and it's particularly the case if it's on an open throat, which I have that configuration. In this case, it's not on an open throat, but the 12 is our ability to express the insights that are coming in through that knowing circuit. So they're highly intuitive. They're not rational, not logical, not strategic, not linear, not something that you can prove, not something you can find the explanation for in a book or a video or anything like that. This is just pure knowing. And it is also the ability to kind of bring through the insights that are coming from superconsciousness, because the knowing circuit is plugged directly into superconsciousness. It's coming right down through here and out through that 12. So you might find that you have things that are coming through that are unusual, that are leading edge, that are out of the box. And I think the reason it was called caution is it's kind of like, whoa, what is that? Where is that coming from? And we are living in a time now where we're opening up more and more to the fact that people channel all the time. Honestly, like I channel all the time. I'm constantly kind of having more new information come in, and I write it down. I'll video it. I'll paint it. I'll draw it. So there's many of us that have that kind of open channel. And then of course, there are people, like Lee Harris, who are professional channels, right? That's what they do for a living is that they bring through the insights of their own guides. But my belief is that we all have that to some extent. Of course, some people are super adept at it, like Lee is, but we all have our own access to our intuition. And so here, while the sun is lighting up this gate 12, it's a wonderful time for you to be kind of opening up to what's your next level of intuition that wants to come through. And really make a point of not dismissing what's coming through. Because it's really easy for us to do that. When we have insights, epiphanies, downloads, new perspectives, new ways of seeing things, it's not uncommon for us to dismiss them or reject them and be like, where'd that come from? What is that? Right? Because we've been so trained to look outside of ourselves for wisdom and not to be receiving and really honoring what's coming from the inside. And so my invitation to you is to really pay attention, write them down, draw them, talk to trusted friends about them, ask other people, because we're all going to be being lit up by this energy. Ask other people what their breakthrough ideas are. And I really think that this is the kind of information and insight that we need in this really challenging world that we have today. Right? We have to have new ways of doing things. And for us to be receiving higher guidance about how we can do that, I think is a big boon for us and something that we should take advantage of and cultivate and really honor and respect. So let's take a look at this whole channel. So we've got the whole 1222 that's lit up. And this channel is in the knowing circuit, like I just said. And it's known as the channel of openness in traditional human design, or the channel of grace. So the 22 is being lit up by Saturn right now. And Saturn often gets a bad rap for being kind of a taskmaster and strict and conservative and all of that. And I like to think of Saturn really as the great teacher, that Saturn has a curriculum for us and he wants us to follow that curriculum. So the gate 22, it's a beautiful energy that has to do with building our trust and our faith that we are going to have what we need when we need to have it, that the timing is going to be perfect for us, that we can align ourselves with real grace, and we can surrender. It's known as the gate of surrender in quantum human design. So we can surrender to the way that we are being supported by this creative intelligence that is downloading new insights into us, which is what happens through that knowing circuit. So this whole channel is saying, okay, this is emotional energy that's in the 22. What are we emotionally aligned with? What are we emotionally wanting to express? And Saturn is really asking us, don't go into scarcity. Don't go into fear. Don't contract and be in kind of like a state, right? Don't have that kind of emotional state. Have an emotional state that is based on this inner awareness, this inner alignment that recognizes that this connection to super consciousness is going to provide us with the direction, the wisdom, the insights that we need in order for our lives to unfold in the best possible way, provided that we are open to them. Right? And we can be channeling in those new ideas and those new possibilities and new potentials coming from that 12. And we can also express them, because the 12 is about expressing as well. Everything on the throat is expressing, it's activating, it's manifesting. So this is a really potent time for us to be paying attention to that. And note, if you have an open throat or an open will center or an open emotional solar plexus, that all of those are going to be getting defined during this transit. And so I know for me, I have an open emotional solar plexus. So it'll be curious for me to see what's my emotional energy like during this time. And we can take advantage of that by building the highest frequency of emotional energy during this time to help us to activate and manifest what it is that we most desire and what it is that our inner guidance is directing us towards. Because emotional energy isn't just what we kind of sort of think of as feelings. I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel excited, I feel disappointed, like that. It is that way for people who are emotionally defined, and we all have our own emotions, even if we're emotionally undefined. I have plenty of my own emotions, although I am emotionally neutral a lot of the time because I'm not emotionally defined as well. But we all have the ability to harness the energy of the emotional solar plexus because it is a power center. It's an engine or a motor in the chart. And as we infuse it with the highest frequency of emotional energy that we can cultivate for ourselves, which is why I teach Kundalini yoga and teach the energy practices that I do, so that you can be learning how to up level and upgrade and raise your frequency and your vibration, then you'll have a much easier time to be creating what it is that you want in your life rather than what it is that you don't want, because you're aligning with it through negative emotional energy. And with that channel 4521, that was really lit up last transit, Mercury joined the sun a few days ago, and it's going to be there for a few more days. So that's still lighting up that 4521. And let's just remember from our last conversation that that's really about how are we evolving ourselves and our world so that we can equitably distribute resources rather than having them really consolidate in the hands of fewer and fewer people, which is what we've been seeing over the last 40 years or so, certainly here in the United States. Then how are we going to start to distribute those resources more equitably? So we can be receiving insights through that 12, and we can be giving some of our energy through that 1222 to being able to raise our vibration and express what it is that's important. And we're getting new insights coming through that knowing circuit. And that can help us because we're all in a grand experiment together, right? About how do we have a more equitable world? How do we regenerate the things that have gotten damaged and harmed both individually in ourselves, in our communities, and in the living world? How do we do this? This is where we could really use some of those breakthrough insights that come to us through the knowing circuit. So we start to see here how different aspects of the chart start to work together. And the Earth is lighting up the gate 11. So the 11 is also over here on the left-hand side of the body. The 11 is also in the sensing circuit. It's on the Ajna center, and it's known as the gate of ideas or the conceptualist in quantum human design. Ideas, ideas, ideas. So you may find that you have a flood of ideas that comes in during this time. And we do want to ground ourselves in the sense of, oh, there's so many different possibilities. And it is right-brained energy. So it's not going to be particularly strategic or analytical or focal. In that way, it's much more expansive. It's much more embodied. It's experiential. It's creative. This is a really great time to be working with creative ideas. And don't try to make them logical. Don't try to make them fit into those kind of boxes. Allow the creativity to flow during this time. Now, sometimes people who have this gate defined in their chart, the 11, get really overwhelmed with ideas. And that may happen to you while we're going through this transit. So a couple of things that you can do for yourself. One is just just make a regular practice of just writing down ideas, write them down. Just think of it as a brain dump. You're just trying to get all that information out of your head because you're just walking around with all of it in your head, right? It's a lot to manage. So just see if you can be draining it out through writing. Another thing you can do is you can actually put your forehead on the ground. You can, be in child's pose, which is a yoga pose, or you can just be prone on your belly, have your forehead down on the ground, and just be asking the earth to be taking this energy of these ideas. It's a little bit like a release valve, right? Just trying to just be like, okay, I'm going to let some of these go. I don't really need to carry all these around. And you can affirm for yourself that any that are important for you and important for you now that you will hold on to. And you can invite ones that are important for you, but they're for much later to come back later. You don't necessarily need to hold on to them now. So part of what you want to discern if you are having a flood of ideas is to consider, is this something for me or is it something for somebody else? Because a lot of times when the 11 is lit up, we get ideas for other people or other situations. And sometimes we do get them for the future. So you can kind of be going through using your own human design authority to be like, okay, is this an idea for me or for somebody else or for another time? Because I have talked to people who have the 11 defined in their chart, and some of them get super overwhelmed thinking that it's their job to implement all the ideas they receive. And that's not the case. People, when the 11 is lit up, there's way more ideas that are circulating than any one person could possibly manifest. So relieve yourself. And if you have it lit up in your chart, even more so, really, really take that in for yourself. So we're going to ground ourselves in more ideas. And we're also going to open to the downloads that are going to come through that knowing circuit. So we're getting a download through the sensing circuit as ideas, and we're getting downloads as breakthrough leading edge ideas through that 12. And then they're being supercharged by that emotional solar plexus, where we're giving extra energy to whatever it is that we're focusing on, whatever it is we're giving our attention to. So all the more reason for you to really be attuned attuned to what is your emotional frequency and where do you want to put your attention, because you could get a little bit scattered with so many things coming through. But you want to do your best not to allow yourself to be thrown off that way, because this is a beautiful transit where you can really get some great insights about what's going to be your next steps. And next week on June 20th, woohoo, solstice time. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've got the summer solstice. And in the Southern Hemisphere, they have the winter solstice. So this is apex energy, right? This is like here where I live, it's going to be the longest day of the year. And in Australia and New Zealand and all of the places south of the equator, it's going to be the longest night of the year. So interesting how that happens. So we're going to gather on June 20th. I'm going to do a live stream on YouTube, and I encourage you to come and join us. And we're going to celebrate and we're going to activate, because not only is it the solstice, but it's also going to be the full moon. So we're going to have the apex of the solar cycle and the apex of the moon cycle as well. So let's take advantage of this supercharged day and bring your insights from this year and bring what you want to supercharge for the rest of 2024 between now and the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. And we'll have a really good time together. Okay. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.